Your ability to draw the right people towards you directly affects everything in your life, from your relationships to your professional life. These habits can either close doors for you or open them. This video will change the game for you when it comes to social situations if you implement the habits that I'm about to tell you into your life on a daily basis. You bring them with you into every room, into every conversation, and watch as the behavior of people around you changes. My name is Lyla, and this is Disscomfortable episode 6. Today we're going to talk about how to become socially magnetic. Number 1. Wait for them to ask you. You want to minimize your usage of the word I and instead replace it with the word you. Whenever you have a conversation or you meet someone new, you want to directly address the person either by their name, which we'll go into a little bit later because there's actually some science behind that, or address them in the second person. The key idea you need to internalize here is people remember not what you said, but how you made them feel. We tend to go off of emotions. We buy things based off of emotions. We make decisions based off of emotions. If you can get people to feel what they want to feel and get them obsessed not with you but with themselves, you are changing the game for yourself. And I really want you to focus on that because it's going to play into every single habit listed here. So imagine you meet someone new. When you talk to them, they have no context about you. They don't know you. They're not going to remember what you say about yourself, but rather what you make them feel about themselves. Being able to make people feel a certain way just using your words and your body language and your actions. I'm not talking about seduction here or manipulation. Just in a regular conversation with a regular stranger that you want to get to know, this is how you do it. This is how you leave a lasting impression on people. You make them remember you. Think about it this way. If you hand someone all of this information about yourself on a silver platter, they're not going to remember anything. Whereas if you give them the opportunity to slowly unravel little bits and pieces about you, and you let them do this at their own will, they're bound to remember every single little detail. When you give them the opportunity to ask you the questions that you want to be asked, they're going to remember it. They're the ones asking you. You get them talking about themselves, they really seem to like you now. When you listen, people naturally like you more. If there's anything I've picked up from conversations, it's that. It's a little sad, but it is true. Look, I'm not saying you have to completely cut back on yourself and not be expressive. Don't get me wrong. You want to be authentic, and one way to be authentic is to be expressive. You want to fully express yourself still, but not at the expense of making someone feel like they have to sit around and listen to you. You know, there's a big difference between the two. Also, like, where's the fun in getting to know someone immediately and just having everything handed to you? There's no fun in that. This is not like a feminine or masculine thing. This is a human thing. Like, we naturally want to know more about you when we don't know much about you. It creates intrigue, mystique. People actually want to slowly get to know you, and they'll ask you questions if you're asking them questions about yourself. When they don't easily have access to you, and that's pretty clear, that's when they're gonna want to get to know more about you. And then they'll start asking you questions about yourself. They'll actually prompt the conversation in a way so that they do get to know you more. I do this all the time, and it's honestly such a really good way to get to know people actually and give them the chance to open up and to talk about themselves comfortably. When you speak, I make eye contact with you and I give you the opportunity to fully express yourself. When you do this, you make people feel heard. You're giving them the space to open up and talk about themselves with you and to share details about themselves with you, and that's gonna make them really like you. Like, both subconsciously but also on a conscious level, they're gonna respect you a little bit more as a result. And that respect, that's the key point, right? When they respect you, you know you've got that. I'm not telling you to shut up and act mysterious. If you have to act mysterious, that defeats the whole purpose of it. In order to get to know you, they have to peel back the layers slowly. They have to do a little work to get to know you. So the way you develop a habit of this is every time you go out and you strike a conversation with a stranger, or they do with you, you want to set a small little intention somewhere in the back of your head, like, hey, the purpose of this conversation is to get to know this person. I want to give this person enough space to feel really, really comfortable talking about themselves around me. I want them to talk about themselves so much that they become obsessed. There's a lot of things to talk about, right? You want to almost maneuver the conversation in a direction so that you both get to talk about something that you love. And this is usually how you'll find something that you both have in common, and that's where you get like a really genuine, authentic conversation going, and you both mutually benefit from it. But until you get to that point where you do find something to bond over or something that you have in common, you need something to go off of, right? You need to get to know them a little bit more in order to see, okay, like, what do I have in common with this person? What would be the smartest topic for us to talk about that will get them to open up and that will get them to feel comfortable around me? I'll give you an example of this. I went to this place a couple weeks ago where we had this speed dating round where we were quickly trying to get to know people in like a minute or less. And at first it was like all the questions I was asking people were kind of the same and the conversation would be a bit dry. Then I realized like I need to cater the conversation in favor of this person and who they are just right off the bat. The purpose of the conversation is to get to know them. I'm removing myself and not really mentioning myself unless prompted, and you will be prompted, okay? If this is something that you're worried about, I was worried about this too when I first started out. How are they gonna get to know my personality? This is the beauty of it. When you ask people about themselves and again make them feel comfortable, they start to like you and then they naturally want to get to know you. But anyways, during that speed dating round, I remember just trying to make the questions as specific and relevant as possible to the person ahead of me. There was a guy and he's told me he was like passionate about traveling, I think. And so I really started kind of maneuvering the conversation in that direction, quickly racked my brain for like, okay, what do I know about traveling? What do I like about traveling? Do I like traveling? Which I do. And it's like something, okay, if we have this in common, then we can talk about this and keep the conversation going from this angle. Whereas the next person I moved on to was really into fashion, and so I started to gear the conversation towards that and talking and bringing up any knowledge I had about fashion, anything at all. You don't have to be an expert on the subject, you're just talking about it normally, naturally. You let the conversation flow and respond to this person as honestly as you can. So to summarize, when you go out and try to have a conversation with a stranger, try to get to know as much as you can about them. That's the intention that you should go in with. The more information you have on the person, the more you can use it to your advantage, not to manipulate them, but rather to create a conversation around that. Number two, this is branching off of the first one, mentioning their name. So the really cool science behind this, I have my notes right here. So we have a filtering system in our brain. It's called the reticular activating system, or RAS. Your RAS is responsible for filtering out anything that's not important to you to prevent us from being super overwhelmed. So for example, it's what lets you focus on a conversation with your friend in a busy coffee shop instead of the millions of other things that are happening around you. Or for example, you are thinking about buying a red car and now all of a sudden, all you see on the road are red cars. I'm sure you've had this happen at some point in your life. When we start thinking about something or start focusing on it, like consciously and subconsciously become aware of it, it starts to show up. It's not that there are more red cars on the road all of a sudden, they've always been there. It's just that now you're able to see it more clearly because that's what you're focusing on. There are very few things that can bypass this filtering system and finally reach your conscious brain and like get your attention. And one of them is your name being called. So this is why it's so important to address people directly by their name, because it's programmed into our brains from a young age. Like it's the first thing we learn to respond to since we're a baby, right? So when I think about it that way, to me it made a lot of sense. I hope I explained it well. If I didn't, I will link the person's video that I learned this from. So if you start calling them by their name, like you are immediately gonna get their attention. And I know that sounds pretty obvious, but it's actually crazy like how well it works. Number three, this one has been an absolute game changer for me ever since I started doing it intentionally, and it is smiling. This one sounds obvious, but it has changed my life more than almost anything on this list. So over the last 3 to 6 months, I decided I'm gonna stop frowning I naturally have an RBF, so this is not an easy one for me to correct, but I did try. And so every time I go out on the street, I set an intention to make sure to smile at every person walking beside me. And my social anxiety does not like this, but I really gave it a go. And no matter what social situation I'm in, whether I'm talking to the barista at the coffee shop, or I'm in more of a businessy professional setting, or I'm just meeting new people and striking conversations with them, like, this works and it just naturally draws people to you. I have these rabbit teeth that I used to be very insecure about, and that's one of the reasons why I would not smile genuinely. Like, I would give like a closed-lipped clown smile. But now, over the last few months, since I kind of pushed myself out of my comfort zone, being discomfortable, and I started smiling with my teeth and giving like an actual genuine smile, you know, the one that like makes your eyes light up. Like, we truly underestimate just how powerful smiling is and the effect that it can have on people. There's also this quote that smiles are the best form of makeup, and I used to laugh at this, but now I 100% believe it. Like, there's so much wisdom behind this quote, and the reason I say that is because makeup enhances your overall look, but it doesn't make people feel something directly. Smiles, however, do. Smiles are contagious. When you go look at someone making full eye contact and you smile at them, most likely they will be compelled to smile back at you. Smiles are contagious and they actually make people feel something. Like, I don't know about you, but I get like a warm, fuzzy feeling in my chest when someone smiles at me, especially if it's a stranger or someone that I'm getting to know. And it's like that real, genuine, not closed-lipped smile with the wrinkles and the smile lines, and it's beautiful. So definitely work on that. I don't care if your teeth are crooked or if you have insecurities relating to that. I did too, I do, but I still do it now because it makes a difference. This is the one thing that just makes everyone look prettier. Everyone looks a little bit more attractive just by smiling, okay? And it also makes you more approachable and it makes people want to talk to you. So yeah, it's a habit you need to develop. It's something that should come very naturally to you. If it doesn't already, then you need to work on that, just like I had to work on it. It didn't really come to me naturally because I tried to suppress it for so long. So it's something I definitely had to work on, and I do still work on it every day, but I promise you, this is one I can attest to fully. It works. It seriously works like a charm, and it also just creates this open energy, this energy that makes people like literally be attracted to you. They want to be near you. They want to talk to you. If there's anything you take away from this video, it's this. Please start smiling genuinely if you don't already. It's going to change your life. And you're gonna see the impact in the behavior of people around you. Like, it changes so much. All of a sudden, people are being nicer to me, and I thought it had to do with like my looks or my new outfit, but no. Like, I realize now, no, it's literally the way that you treat people. They respect you more, they like you more, they want to talk to you more. Number 4, I think, eye contact. So this was also another game changer for me, and it is so unbelievably powerful because it screams confidence. So I don't know about you, but for me, making eye contact sometimes, especially with people I find intimidating, it is scary, and it takes a lot for me to be able to do it sometimes, especially when I'm feeling a bit more socially anxious. Maybe you're in a situation that is like a bit more nerve-wracking, or it's just foreign and different to you. It can be hard. It can be really hard sometimes, but you're not the only one struggling with it. Like, everyone, I feel like everyone deals with this at some point. Some people are just naturally very good at holding and maintaining eye contact, but you can train yourself and you can get yourself doing it. Something you can do when you're first trying this out is wear sunglasses. If you're walking outside, when you wear sunglasses, they can't really see your eyes, but you can look at them and sort of practice making eye contact like that. Try practicing with friends or with another person. Another thing you can do is look at people in their at this spot, like right in the middle of their eyes. Don't look at their forehead. You're gonna make them feel uncomfortable. But if you just focus on kind of like eye level, it makes it really easy for you to focus your attention on that part consistently, and then just try to focus on the conversation more, focus on what they're saying, and that way you will kind of divert your attention from forcing your focus onto their eyes, and then it won't be weird. Like, you don't want to be staring at someone to the point where you make them feel weird. It should be natural. It begins to to come naturally to you and flow a bit more as you practice. So practice, practice, practice. This one and the smiling, I can tell you, like, you can master these just by practicing. Like, the more conversations you have and the more you try pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to do this, it is going to make a significant difference in the way that people treat you. I notice in terms of like people's behavior around me personally, I have seen people like treat me more like respectfully. It kind of forces people to be attentive to you, to listen to what you are saying. If you make eye contact with them, it is so powerful. Like, don't sleep on this one. Number 5, be the energy that you want to attract. So a lot of the things I mentioned before help you further showcase that energy, bring that energy to the other person and kind of communicate that to them. But the actual energy itself is going to come from you. It's going to come from the intentions that you set and from your mindset overall. And that's just mental work that you do. Like, literally when you're on the way to the place where you're going to have this conversation, right? Maybe like hype yourself up with some music, or hype yourself up mentally. Go look in the mirror, do your affirmations, and hype yourself up in any way you can. And that should really make a difference in your confidence, and it should give you a booster, right? When I go outside, I try my best to radiate and give off like the best of energy I possibly can. I like to put aside anything else that is like plaguing my mind at the time and just really focus on how can I make this person feel as comfortable around me as possible? How can I be as approachable as possible in a respectful way and make people feel good about themselves? Okay, number 6. This one is a very cool one, and I think it just shows that you care a little bit more. So you want to remember the little details and kind of bring them back into the conversation. Like, if someone tells you something about themselves, you can use that as a hook to continue the conversation with them naturally. When you remember the little details and you weave them back into the conversation, you really make them feel heard. I want to open up even more to this person because they're actually listening, right? They hear what I'm saying. A lot of the times in social situations, especially when you're meeting more people, there's like people coming at you from like all these different directions, and so one conversation might get cut off quickly. And this is when you can also use this to your advantage. If, say, you were talking to someone and you get interrupted, once that interruption goes away, you can resume the conversation by telling them, hey, yeah, you were talking about this, like, please continue. It is so attractive. It shows that you care. Number 6, 7, or 8, I'm not even gonna try with the numbers anymore. I think there should be a huge separation between people. You don't just want to attract anyone into your life. Yes, you want to be socially magnetic, and when you are socially magnetic, you do attract a lot of people, but at the end of the day, you also want to be careful about who you continue the conversation on with. You don't want everyone in your life. On a surface level, you know, get to know people, but beyond that, like, just be careful. Really be intentional with who you talk to. Don't just strike a conversation or tag along with anyone for the sake of it because you don't want to be alone. That's another thing. Like, a lot of the times when you go into public spaces or try something new, you're gonna find yourself in situations where you need to be alone. Maybe you won't know as many people. That loneliness you feel in a crowded room, it's very natural, it's very normal. And just know that if you feel that way, that's a good thing because it shows that, okay, you're trying something new, this is foreign to you. And last one is compliments. So this one is, again, obvious, but be careful with this because sometimes this can make you come across as fake. People can very easily sense when someone's not being genuine or not being authentic. It's very, very easy to tell. If you genuinely do like something about someone and you feel like, don't just compliment anything. I feel like be a little more selective and intentional with your compliments. Compliment someone on something that you know you can turn into a conversation. Like, if you talk about their choice of fashion, if you know more about fashion, or if there's more you want to say, or say you want to ask them about, hey, where did you get that jacket? Or I go to this store too, I shop their clothes all the time. And then you kind of like get a conversation going about that. Don't just pick something random to compliment. Be a little more specific with it, or just lay off on the compliments until you have that one thing that you want to talk about. Like, if you're complimenting everyone, then you're not really complimenting anyone. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but people can pick up on it, so just be careful. I moved to a brand new city a couple months ago, so I have had to meet a lot of new people, everyone from family friends to just complete strangers, and I've definitely felt a bit more socially anxious, but it's been really good for me to practice my skills. I feel so much more confident when it comes to my social attractions. You know you're doing something right when you start getting the energy compliments. I love your energy. That's like the interaction you always want to aim for. You just want to make people feel comfortable around you. I have more episodes, including one on confidence, and those can be found down below in the description on Spotify or on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.